Good morning, my dear students. My name is Twayna. I'm currently available at the Hamlet Tuition Center, Brahmatal, Kathmandu, and the Kumudini Kunja Secondary School, Kalimati, Kathmandu. My dear students of grade 10, this is your science class, and in our science class we have been discussing about nervous system and glandular system. This is your 10th day since we have been learning this lesson, and today is the last class that we are going to discuss about this lesson. Okay, so we have already discussed about many glands. Only pancreas gland and gonads are remaining, and we will discuss about them today. Well, pancreas, it is present on upper left quadrant of abdomen behind stomach. Okay, upper left quadrant means your stomach or your abdomen is divided into 4 quarters. It is divided into 4 parts: upper part and lower part. And upper left means upper left, it is right here. Upper left, upper right. Lower left, lower right. Okay, so pancreas is present in the upper left quadrant of abdomen. Quadrant means 1 part out of 4 part. Yes, and it is present behind stomach. So you can see this the stomach is actually blurred over here. This is stomach and this is liver. This yellow part is pancreas, and you can see pancreas is behind the stomach. Generally pancreas is blocked by stomach. Okay, so its color, it is light yellow, and its size is it's about 6 inches long. Pancreas is about 6 inches long. Okay, now one of the distinctive feature of pancreas is it acts as both endocrine and exocrine gland. Pancreas acts as both endocrine and exocrine gland. Means pancreas contains 2 types of cells. Pancreas contains 2 types of cells. One of the cell is called islet of Langerhans. Okay, and another cell is called acini. Islet of Langerhans and acini. Now, islet of Langerhans, it produces insulin and glucagon hormones, and it releases these hormones into bloodstream, directly into bloodstream. So islet of Langerhans, it acts as endocrine gland, whereas pancreas also contains acini, and acini, it produces pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice is responsible for digestion of food, and it is released into pancreatic duct. And pancreatic duct, you can see in this diagram also, you can see the pancreatic duct, these green colored ducts. Yes, okay, and it is released into intestine. Through the pancreatic duct, it is released into the intestine. So acini acts as the exocrine gland. Okay, some parts or one type of cell of pancreas acts as endocrine gland, and another type of cell of pancreas acts as exocrine gland, and that's why it is also known as heterocrine gland. Hetero means mixed or many. Okay, heterocrine or mixed. Okay, well, you can see the internal structure, cellular structure of a pancreas. Just it shows only one chamber of pancreas, and here you can see 2 types of cells. The cells which are present in the central part, see, these are the islet of Langerhans. These cells are the islet of Langerhans, and whereas these cells which forms a wall around the central canal, these are all ducts or canal. Okay, and these cells they are present around the duct or around the canal. Okay, these cells are acini, and these cells are islet of Langerhans, and islet of Langerhans, they are surrounded by blood vessels. Okay, that is why the secretion of islet of Langerhans is directly released into blood, whereas the secretions of acini, they are poured into this duct. That is why it is a heterocrine gland. Okay, this islet of Langerhans, it acts as endocrine gland, and acini acts as exocrine gland. Okay, now pancreas mainly releases two kinds of hormones, insulin and glucagon, and these two hormones, they act opposite to each other. Insulin and glucagon, they act opposite to each other. Now insulin, it increases carbohydrate absorption and metabolism by cells. Because of insulin, cells absorb carbohydrate and metabolize it. In absence of insulin, cells cannot absorb carbohydrate or sugar, and cells cannot digest the carbohydrate or metabolize the carbohydrate. Okay, and in case of liver cell, insulin causes conversion of glucose into glycogen. Okay, insulin converts glucose into glycogen in the liver cell, and these glycogens are stored in liver itself. Okay, so in overall, insulin decreases blood glucose level. Remember, this point is going to be very useful. Insulin decreases blood glucose level, and on the other hand, glucagon is just opposite of insulin. Glucagon converts glycogen in liver into glucose. Okay, and that glucose is released into blood, so it raises blood glucose level. Now the functioning of insulin and glucagon, or the coordination of insulin and glucagon, is similar to coordination of calcitonin and parathormone. Do you remember? Calcitonin and parathormone, they coordinate with each other to balance the blood calcium level, and insulin and glucagon, they coordinate with each other to balance blood glucose level. Let us discuss that. Okay, see the first case. A person takes a meal. After the person takes the meal, the food is digested in the alimentary canal. Okay, and glucose is released from the meal. These glucose, which are present in intestine, are absorbed into blood. Glucose is absorbed into blood. Yes, so blood glucose level rises. Okay, when blood glucose level rises, that situation is recognized by certain system in your body, and that system activates pancreas. That system activates pancreas to release insulin. When blood glucose level rises, it activates pancreas to release insulin, and insulin helps to convert glucose into glycogen, and glycogen is stored in your liver. Glycogen is stored in your liver. Okay, so liver acts as the storehouse for glucose. Liver acts as the storehouse for glucose. Okay, when capacity of liver is full, when liver has already stored glycogen in its full capacity, then the remaining glucose will be converted into fat. Okay, boso. Okay, this is the situation when you take meal. And when you are not taking meal, when you are working, when you are doing any other types of works, or you are consuming glucose, then as your tissues consume glucose, blood glucose level decreases. Okay, and lowering blood glucose level, a lower level of blood glucose, it triggers pancreas to release another enzyme, glucagon. Low level of blood glucose triggers pancreas to release glucagon. Remember, high level of blood glucose triggers pancreas to release insulin, but low level of blood glucose triggers pancreas to release glucagon. When glucagon is released, it causes glycogen to change into glucose, and that glucose is supplied to your blood. See, in this way your blood glucose level is maintained. Understood the role of insulin and glucagon? Yes? Okay, let us go to next slide. This is related to pancreas. Hypersecretion of insulin. If insulin is secreted in larger quantity than necessary, then you see what insulin does? Insulin converts glucose into glycogen, yes, isn't it? But if too much amount of insulin is produced, then most of the glucose from blood is converted to glycogen. Blood also needs glucose, isn't it? From blood, that glucose is obtained by our tissues. Our tissues get glucose from blood. But what's happening to blood glucose? They are all being converted to glycogen by elevated insulin. In that case, you will feel fatigue, out of energy. You will feel out of energy because there is no glucose available in your blood, and your tissue cannot utilize glycogen from liver, isn't it? And whatever glucose you obtain from your food, they are being converted to glycogen by insulin. That's how your blood glucose level always remain low. If insulin is produced more than necessary, then your blood glucose level always remain very low. Okay. So when pancreas produces insulin more than necessary, it causes a disease called hypoglycemia. Hypo means less, glycemia means blood glucose. Blood has less amount of glucose. In this disease, blood glucose level is constantly low. Weakness, excessive sweating, frequent hunger, confusion, convulsion, etc. are observed. Well, confusion and convulsion, they are related to your brain function. When your brain does not get enough amount of glucose, it happens. Your brain starts to function abnormally, and there would be confusion within your brain. And sometimes there are even hallucination. Hallucination means you are seeing something that is not there, that does not exist. That is hallucination. Okay, next one is hyposecretion of insulin. If insulin is secreted less than necessary, then what happens? If insulin is secreted less than necessary, then once again look at here. If insulin is secreted less than necessary, then glucose will not be converted to glycogen. So blood glucose level remains high, and when the blood glucose level remains high, that glucose is filtered out by kidney. The excessive glucose present in your blood is filtered out by kidney and thrown in your urine. The glucose is wasted. Okay, and when your blood glucose is depleted by tissue consumption, then you will feel hungry again. Got it? Okay, so when pancreas produces insulin less than necessary, it causes a disease called diabetes mellitus. You all have heard about this disease. In our common tongue, diabetes is also known as sugar, the chini rog or sugar disease, isn't it? And many people have misconception that eating too much sweet or sugar causes diabetes. That's wrong. Eating too much sugar does not cause diabetes. Diabetes is caused by many other factors. Single factor is not responsible, but many other factors such as lack of exercise, drink of alcohol, or smoking habit, effect of vehicle smokes, genetics. Genetics means hereditary. If any member of your family have diabetes, then you also have very likely chance to get diabetes. These are the factors that cause diabetes, not eating too much sugar. Okay, in this disease, blood sugar level is higher than normal ranges. Moreover, cells are unable to absorb and digest glucose. It causes frequent urination, intense thirst, dehydration, rapid weight loss, etc. Okay, that much about diabetes. We will discuss about diabetes more in detail in another lesson, and blood circulation. Okay, and here we'll discuss only up to this much. Okay, next and the last one we have is gonads. The last gland that we need to discuss is gonads. Okay, gonads are also known as reproductive glands because they produce the hormones which are necessary for reproduction function. reproduction. Okay, the gonads, they produce the hormones which are needed for reproduction function. Okay, so in case of male, they have testes. Males have testes as gonads. Okay, you can see in this diagram. Okay, these are testes, and you see testes, they cannot function in normal body temperature 37 degrees Celsius. They cannot function, so they are protruded out of the body, and they are supported by a skin sac which is called scrotum. Okay, these are testes which are present in male only, and they act as the male reproductive glands. And in case of female, they have ovaries. This one and this one, they are ovaries. There are two ovaries on both sides of uterus, and since ovaries can function perfectly at body temperature, they are placed inside the body. They are placed inside the body. Okay, these are the female gonads or female reproductive glands, and here is more detailed visual of the ovary. Okay, this is uterus, this is ovary, this is fallopian tube, and these are fimbriae or oviducal funnel. The ovaries which are released by ovary are received by this oviducal funnel with the help of this fimbriae. Okay, and the ova will travel through fallopian tube up to the uterus. That much you already know. Okay, look, gonads. In male, a pair of testes act as gonads. Okay, they are located inside the skin pouch called scrotum. It remains hanging outside the body below penis because it functions at temperature lower than body temperature. And in female, a pair of ovaries act as gonads. In female, they are located inside the body on both sides of uterus. Any confusion up here? Okay, now let's see the differences between testes and ovaries. Testis or male gonad, it produces a testosterone hormone. Testosterone hormone is also known as male hormone. Testosterone, it produces or it develops secondary sexual characters in male. Some of these characters are like hoarse voice, broad shoulder, development of mustache and beard in the face. Okay, growth of more hair on the body. Yes, aggressive nature. Okay, and sexual desire. Okay, these are the effects of testosterone hormone. And ovaries, they produce estrogen and progesterone hormone. Well, estrogen and progesterone, especially estrogen, it is also known as female hormone because it develops female secondary sexual characters. Okay, the characters which are unique to girls, such as narrow shoulder but broad hips. Okay, enlarged breast, sharp voice. Yes, and less hair on the body, absence of beard and mustache, etc. are the secondary sexual characters of female. Well, you can see in this diagram also, well, in case of male, the shoulders are very broad, yes, but the hips are narrow. You can see the comparative measurement as well. Okay, whereas in case of female, the shoulders are narrow, and compared to shoulder, the hips are broad. Okay, male, they don't have breast, female have well developed breast. Yes, and the overall height of male is also more than overall height of female. Usually the overall height of male is more than overall height of female. And in case of male, fat will deposit more often in the abdominal area. Okay, in case of female, fat is deposit more often around the waist. Here in the waist region, more amount of fat is deposited in case of female. In case of male, fat is deposited around the abdomen. केटाहरुको भुडी लाग्छ है केटीहरुको भन्न चाहदै. Okay. And then after in the body also has more hair in case of male, and in case of female they have less amount of hair. And in face, female do not have any body hair, male have beard and mustache. Okay. And muscles, the body of male contains high amount of muscle compared to fat, but body of female contains less amount of muscles compared to fat. Okay, that is why typically females are physically weaker than males, but there are some exceptions obviously. And bone also, bones of male have high density and bones of female have low density. Okay, so if a male and a female having comparable size, they take weight, then you will always find that weight of male is much more than weight of female. Okay, so what causes these differences in bodily feature of male and female? Well, it is testosterone and estrogen. Testosterone causes male like characters, estrogen causes female like characters. Okay, if you inject estrogen to a man, then the man will develop like female, and if you inject testosterone in a female, in a woman, then that woman will develop like a man. Okay. Okay, another function of testis is it produces millions of sperm every day. Every day testis produces millions of gametes, but in case of ovary, it produces only one ovum in every month, actually in every 2 months. Okay, each ovary produce only one ovum in every 2 months. Okay, that is why one egg is released by one egg is released in 1 month. See, in the first month, say this ovary releases ovum, in the next month this ovary, and then again in the next month this ovary, like that, turn by turn they will release egg. Okay, so each ovary release egg in roughly 2 months time period, but in case of testis they release millions of sperm every day. Okay, and next difference is testis does not tolerate body temperature, but ovary it operates at body temperature. And next, testis develops secondary sexual character in male, and ovary develops secondary sexual character in female. If testes are removed from a man by using surgery, that will develop the man as the woman. He will remain a man, but his behavior, his interest, his talking style, everything will be like a woman, and he will lose any interest in women. Okay, and such persons are also called eunuchs, eunuchs. Okay, so let us discuss about the hormones released by these glands, the major hormones released by gonads. Okay, in case of male gonads, it releases testosterone. We have already discussed about this. It develops secondary sexual character in male. Example: facial hair, hoarse voice, heavy muscles, aggressiveness, broad shoulder, etc. It also creates sexual desire or virility in male. If you have low amount of testosterone produced, then you do not have enough sexual desire, and that being in adult life, not now. Okay, adult life means after 20 years of age, 18 to 20 years of age. Only after that these are manifested. Okay, and then female gonad or ovaries, they produce estrogen. What estrogen does? It develops secondary sexual characters in female. Example: enlargement of breast and hips, shrilling voice, increased fat synthesis, less hair in body, narrow shoulder, etc. It also gives sexual desire or virility in female. And next hormone produced by the gonads is progesterone. What progesterone does? It is also known as the pregnancy hormone. It is also important. There is frequent question: why is progesterone known as pregnancy hormone? Because it stops estrogen production. It stops estrogen production and prepares the body for pregnancy. The features which are developed by estrogen are not suitable for carrying the baby. Okay, so what features are needed for carrying baby? These features are developed by progesterone. Yes. Okay, what does it do? It thickens the wall of uterus and increases blood supply to the uterine wall, which would be necessary for embryo to implant and develop. Well, if the egg is fertilized, you see, egg is released by ovary. Okay, let me draw an egg. Okay, suppose this is egg. Yes, egg is released by ovary, and then the egg, it travels through fallopian tube. At the same time, if sexual intercourse happens, okay, let me take few moments. Okay, if sexual intercourse occurs, then the sperms will enter the vagina of female, and from vagina it will enter through the cervix. Okay, from cervix it will reach the uterus, and then the sperm will travel through the fallopian tube. Okay, it will travel through fallopian tube in the source of ovum. Yes, and when the ovum and sperm they meet each other, the sperm fertilizes the ovum. Okay, and that fertilized ovum will further travel through the fallopian tube and they reach the uterus here, and in uterus it attaches itself. Yes, on the wall of uterus, and then it absorbs nutrients from the blood supply of the uterus itself. Okay, so if baby is going to develop here, it needs larger supply of, or more supply of blood and nutrients. Okay, for that purpose, the progesterone hormone increases the blood supply and also makes the wall thick. Okay, so that the embryo will be protected from external injury. Understood that? In that way, progesterone prepares the body for pregnancy. Okay, let us discuss further. Okay, it thickens the wall of uterus and increases blood supply to the uterine wall, which would be necessary for embryo to implant and develop. It also decreases sexual desire and inhibits contraction of uterus. It enlarges the breast. Well, if sexual desire is to occur when embryo is implanted, okay, if sexual desire is to occur, in such case what happens? This structure, the uterus and vagina, cervix, they will contract, and when they contract frequently, the embryo, they might simply fall down. Yes, the embryo might fall down and the embryo will be wasted. Okay, so sexual desire during implantation period is very harmful for the embryo. That's why doctors also suggest to abstain from sexual intercourse for the first 3 months of pregnancy, isn't it? Because during that time the embryo needs to be settled in the wall. Okay, that is very delicate time. Okay, so what decreases sexual desire? For that purpose, the progesterone. Once again, the progesterone. Okay, anyway, that is all about the hormones released by gonads. The last topic we need to discuss is the coordination between nervous system and glandular system. You know that both nervous system and glandular system, they function to respond to the change in environmental factors. Some environmental factors are outside of our body, some factors are inside our body. But in response to changes in environmental factors, our body needs to behave differently, in different manner. Okay, and for that purpose we have nervous system and glandular system. Okay, now nervous system does not function alone and glandular system also does not function alone. They are always coordinated. What happens that the glandular system, it cannot detect the changes in our it cannot detect the changes in the environment. Glandular system, it cannot detect the changes in the environment. That is done by nervous system. Nervous system detects the changes in environment and then it gives order to glandular system to function accordingly. Okay, and then only glandular system will produce hormone, and the hormones will change the pattern of our metabolism in our body. Hormone will change the pathway of metabolism in our body. Like that, they will always work in coordination. Okay, let's see an example. When we were discussing about this insulin, see what I said, that when blood glucose level increases, pancreas releases insulin. But can pancreas detect blood glucose level? No, pancreas cannot detect blood glucose level. Who detects blood glucose level? Who detects blood glucose level? Nervous system does that. Nervous system detects the blood glucose level. Okay, nervous system detects the blood glucose level, and then the nervous system sends a signal to pancreas to release insulin. See, if you do not have nervous system, if your nervous system is not functioning, then pancreas also cannot function. See, nervous system detects the changes in the internal environment and external environment, and based on these changes, these impulses, nervous system produces another impulse, ordering the glands to function. That's all. Okay, let's read it. Pause the screen, take the note. In our body, nervous system and glandular system coordinates to control the body. All the glands in our body are controlled by nerves or pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is a part of the brain itself. So the nervous system detects the change in internal factors in our body. Accordingly, it sends nerve impulse to different glands as per necessary. The glands then release hormone in response. For example, after we take our meal, glucose is absorbed in our blood and blood glucose level sharply increases. The nerves detect the change and sends the message to the brain. The brain analyzes the situation and sends another signal to the pancreas. In response, pancreas produces insulin hormone. Insulin then converts glucose into glycogen and stores in liver. In this way, blood glucose level is lowered. Okay, that's all for today. And with this, our lesson is concluded. Now, what you need to do, you need to do exercise from your book and send it to me through Messenger. Okay, that's all for today. In our next class, we will start a new lesson. Thank you, class.